Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Power Book 4 Force. Man, that is so complicated to unnecessarily say. Or Tommy Power, as everyone call it, for our review. It's your boy Lucas, my guy Najir. What's going on tonight, sir?
What's up, dude? Hey, funny thing is, somebody in the comments last week was like, "Why is it so hard for people to get the name right?" And literally went on like a 3 to 4 sentence rant about it.
Hey man, it's the Power Book 4 Force. It's that 4 Force that throws
Yeah.
everyone off. But here we are, episode 7. This one is called, and I know y'all waiting for it, Outrunning a Ghost. I know I know y'all hate that name, or some of you all probably before you saw the episode said, I know Ghost is back now. Because why would they name it this? But let's quickly jump into the episode here. As at the beginning of the episode, we finally see the impact of Dahlia on the club scene, as we see Liliana first pushing it onto a possible new client. And then we see that this is their strategy moving forward to attempt to take over the club scene with Dahlia. When you first saw this start of the episode, and you see Liliana push this drug in a way that we saw Claudia push it on Tommy, what did you think when you first saw that?
Oh, I was like, "Oh, Liliana, she cleans up nicely. Look at her out here doing her thing." First, I thought it was Claudia. I was like, "I know Claudia's not out here paying to get into the club." Definitely had questions about that one,
Yeah.
but nah. But I was like, "Oh, Liliana, she cleans up nicely." But I think the biggest thing here is to say that like she's definitely and fully invested into being a part of this now. So,
Hey, as they said before, that this is an equal kind of partnership going on amongst these three people here. And
yeah.
then next up, right after we get her pushing the drug, and we see some of the other young ladies pushing the drug, we get, which to me is one of the most important conversations of this episode, and that is Tommy talking to Claudia on how they're going to move Dahlia and coming up with a cheaper version of Dahlia and letting her know in school, and they're like, well, if we get the high client base, that's great, but we still got to make a drug affordable, basically for fiends to latch onto it, because without them, what good are we going to do here? Just from that business standpoint, and even from Tommy telling her, I'm giving you what business 101 as it comes to street knowledge here. Like, this is what we have to do. This conversation with them again shows just that Claudia may not be accustomed to this business. What did you think just about that whole conversation that Tommy had to break that down for, not only to her, but to the audience also, who may have just thought, hey, they got a hell of a drug. It's going to be easy for them to push.
Yeah, PhD candidate Tommy Egan is out here setting the law. I mean, it's much of what we talked about last week in terms of Claudia being ambitious, wanting to step out on her own, but actually don't really understand the game. You know, she's learned stuff from her dad. She's seen her family do certain things, but now she's on the front line and things aren't exactly how they seem. And she is asking a lot of good questions. But Tom is also asking a lot of asking questions, but yet delivering answers to her questions and really laying the landscape as to what has to be done, what needs to be done, what makes this successful. To the point of Tommy asking questions, it's the whole idea of, well, he has never had anything of his own, and even with his knowledge of the game, he doesn't know science or chemistry. At that, so like he's asking questions. Yes, he has a goal, he has a plan, he has a narrative or whatnot, but this is what a team does. You have 4 collective minds in the room and you're looking for a solution. So I think that everything about this reeks success to me, because nothing is of an assumption. Everybody's asking questions, everyone's making suggestions, everybody's rebuttaling. You know, it's and at no time was there ever really any heated tension. It was more like, I think this is right. No, I think this is right. We think this is the best way, you know, and they keep collectively in the tech world, this would almost be like called agile development, because you set a goal and then you come back, reevaluate that, then you build off of that one. You just keep building. I think this is what we're kind of seeing with them, is because they get to a point, They hit a goal, come back. What's our next goal? And their next goal is still the education as to how did this work? How does this how would this strive to be successful? And also, how do we not blow out in all of this? Which is another thing. And like for me, that don't know any of this, I was thoroughly like, yeah, they're addressing every bit of little concern that I'm having with this, and I again, it reeks success to me.
Hey, this is what you got to question, especially if you know anything about the way street drugs are moved here. I always wondered, how the hell are they going to be profitable with such an expensive drug? That is hard to move. As it said later on in the episode, like, yes, we can move an expensive key, but just moving a key won't be enough here. We got to find a way to get it down to the middleman, get it down to the lower guy, get it down to these college girls who may want a wild night out. And if they want a wild night out, they ain't buying no key of anything. That's humanly impossible. That's more than a wild night out. That's a death night to buy a key of anything to move. But following that, the next scene we get is with our brothers, the CBI boys, as we are introduced to possibly an old friend. I know we brought that up last episode of, hey, what possibly happened to all these other crew members that were around when Diamond was running it when Jenard took over. And we're introduced right now to another one. Not too much to talk about. He's part of the gang. They're happy to have him back in the fold, as they say clearly here. But the more interesting part of this scene is when Dmacc and I forgot little homie's name.
Wait a minute, because they're gonna get on us if we don't address this right here. Welcome back to the Shy, my guy Reg. From the show The Shy, back in Chicago here now in Power Book Force. Barton Fitzpatrick, who's playing Blackston. Nothing to make of him totally yet, but like, I mean, when you talk about Chicago shows, it's pretty much synonymous with it, along with Dmacc and them. Dmacc, I'm forgetting his real name, but and then Marshall is who you're talking about. These are folks that are from the Chicago area, so like they're reinstating their presence on yet another Chicago show. So yes, he's died on The Shy. He has been reincarnated, and now he is back in The Shy with his same OPS.
I'm about to say, don't say that. He is the same character with the same name, but it's not the same character.
my man Reg. I tell you, man, when he got killed off, that's when I thought that show started swirling way out of control. But hey, that's a conversation for another day.
I've never seen an episode of The Shy. I've never been interested in watching the episode of The Shy. Not because it's a bad show at all, but it's just never fully piqued my interest. But the next part is, as we get the introduction of Dmacc and Marshall, as you said his name was, because clearly I forgot his name that damn fast, even though Marshall Mathers should have got a combination. But we get them coming up with a plan with Marshall's cousin to expand the operation to Gary, Indiana here. Now, the moment it is brought up, we see and understand Diamond is extremely hesitant, while Jenard thinks it's one of the best ideas humanly possible. And we get another conflict between the CBI boys. But I'm gonna combine this scene with another scene to get the overall picture of everything here. Because following that scene, we get the scene where Jenard approaches Dmacc about finding Tommy for him because he wants to kill Tommy tonight. Now, from the start of it, of Diamond not trusting this expansion to Gary, Indiana, to Jenard clearly going against Diamond wishes about Tommy. Yeah. Where do you think this, again, where does this put the CBI brothers at with just trust at this point between them two?
I think it's a change. It's a disagreement in philosophy. I think they're playing nice, but just don't agree. So I didn't feel really no true hostility between the two of them. I just think that their ideology amongst how to run the CBI is just one's in left field, one's in right field. And can they meet in center? Maybe not. And Jenard, he's more or less moving over from being a hothead to actually being strategical by his means of expansion. Mm-hmm. And whether it's about hitting different territories, whether it's about adding new soldiers, whether it's about a new drug, and he's trying everything. And Diamond's whole MO is just like, we got the serve pipeline, I'm not going to jail. That's all he cares about at this point. And as long as and it's funny because anything that is new to him is like a no. And we all got those folks who are unwilling to adapt in all different levels of profession. So whether you are on the streets and this is your business, he's just not willing to adapt to the new times. He's just like, this is what we do. This is what I know. This is how it's going to be. I'm not going to jail. That's it. So like, just understanding between the two of them. I do not sense any hostility. It's more like I'm the little brother. I'm not telling him I'm gonna do my own thing and so on. I also think he's also probably willing to have Diamond on board once he makes success in all of the stuff that he's kind of doing behind his back. I think he wants to prove his brother wrong.
Now, do you think it's partially because who this idea came from? Because that's the first thing that popped into my head is, one, you get the young boys coming in the door, coming in the shop, they're trying to explain to you this expansion from one cousin's cousin to somebody's cousin's second mama removed. You don't know who the hell they're talking about here. They can't even articulate exactly what it is they want to do here, but you're coming around with this plan to move product to a completely different area. Did you think at all it plays that if this would have came from someone else, someone Diamond trusted, because that's the key part here.
Tommy?
Yeah. In all honesty, if it would have came from someone like Tommy, would Diamond have been more receptive to it?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think he feels that way too. And I feel like he feels like the undervalued little brother. So yeah, and take it for whatever it's worth, but Dmacc and Marshall, they do got a good plan. Like, they got folks that are trying to, first of all, they got their part of Chicago on lock, and they're just like, hey, we got way to bring in to make more money, et cetera, et cetera. Those are my folks, and it logistically seems to work. I mean, and even by the meeting, which we'll talk about later, it also just really appears to seem like it works. So like, in retrospect, their idea wasn't really that bad, but yeah, was it? And it's funny because everything we're saying, we already got an answer to. Because it is odd that like Diamond is so resistant to any bit of change. But I think we all have met somebody one way, shape, or form that is a complete, I'm not trying that. I don't want to do that. I don't fuck with that. All these other things. And then a day or two later, you see them like on the low, trying to be on board, drawing interest. And I think for whatever reason, Diamond just metabolized everything that Jenard was saying all day. And then he's like, yeah, only person I could talk to is my boy Tommy about this, and not like a complete idiot, which is another interesting dynamic. Once he did decide to sort of be on board to some respect to what Jenard was saying, why didn't he go to Jenard? And I think there may be a high level of pride going on here that will need to be addressed.
Or will we eventually find out it's a problem with trust? I think we've played Diamond this entire series so far like he's completely in the dark with the issues with his brother. But if he's supposed to be the street guy that they have portrayed him on this show, he wouldn't be in the dark about it. He would fully understand who his brother was, and hopefully he would be able to see a couple of moves ahead of what his brother is trying to set up. I think that's something you got to pay attention to. We got to wait down the line that may pay dividends to us as we discover more and more that Jenard is making these moves, and possibly Diamond knows about these moves and how that's going to impact everything moving forward. But speaking of things being impacted moving forward, in typical Power fashion, we get to Walter and we find out exactly what's going on with Walter by them not talking about it at all. They give you a simple glimpse of something, a piece of paper, lung cancer. Nothing else is discussed about it in this scene with him and Paulie. The only thing that's talked about, and something that's highly important talked about here, is Walter wanting to put a plan together for when the Serbs come, as he informs Paulie that he basically killed every single one of them, and now we need to prepare for a war against them. The most important part of this scene is the conversation between him and Paulie, as Paulie lets him know, you've unleashed hell upon us. Almost verbatim what was told to Tommy when he did the exact same thing in dealing with the Serbs here. Do you think, and I know this is a bit of foreshadowing, first just talk about what you think about that scene with them two, and for you in the audience, do you think this problem could bring Walter and Tommy together and forcing them to team up against the Serbs?
Ooh. First of all, anything that again, Mr. Tommy Flanagan does, I'm just automatically like, the dude is just on another level in acting. And I want to be clear that there's a lot of other good performances I thought was in this episode as well too. But this Tommy is just really good. And Guy Slurringer, who plays Paulie, I think I said his name right. Also just brings a extra element to those scenes. So intense, but while they may be short and sweet, they hold so much power and dividends in terms of everything that's happening. So to me, I think in terms of the plot, I think that we really see a father doing whatever he can for his boy. And whether it's him completely being dismissive about his health, he's completely like, I will be the devil, because that's what you're calling me. I unleash hell. He said, so you calling me the devil? Then so be it. So he's all for it. As I said, he's a dangerous man. He has nothing to lose right now. And also, to your second part of the question, he has nothing to lose. So why would you be mad at Tommy? Tommy's never made a threat to your son. You thought he would, but it wasn't him.
Technically, he protected your son.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of camaraderie there. You might have a little, you might shed a little tear for your new now token son and Tommy, who's been actually doing a lot for you on the low that you had no idea about. So hey, Tommy was actually going to get Gloria from him, and that would have been the biggest, happiest thing for you ever. So
that'd have been the best thing in the world if Tommy would have just took Gloria away from him.
So yeah, bring on the Serb War Part 2, 3 at this point now.
Hey, the Serbs keep on coming back. But as you brought him up, our boy Vic, there's nothing to talk about but the scene, but our girl Gloria skipped out in the middle of the night and completely broke Vic's heart here. Now, this scene clearly plays dividends later on in the episode, and I'm going to kind of forward then we're going to go back. As after this scene that Gloria has left, she leaves him a note that she needs to leave for a while because the family is always in the way. Later on in this episode, we get a pivotal scene between Walter and Vic, where it looks like any drive that Vic has gone away. And we see Walter almost seems like he's possibly regretting forcing Gloria to move on. Just in these two combined scenes here, what do you think Vic's complete mindset is now with the family?
Yeah, I do need to I need to go one step back because I want to make sure I get his name right. So I just looked it up real quick. As Paulie, Guy Van Swearingen is who I'm talking about, who plays the actor who plays Paulie. And again, just major kudos to him and Tommy Flanagan really lighting it up. And I don't think Guy's getting enough love. I know I'm giving them praise each time, but the two of them have been really lighting it up in their scenes, especially in the last two episodes. But to your question, what does Walter now essentially assess the family, the state of the family?
Because right now, as we see, just from one, when we see Gloria leave, and the second one is when we see that conversation with Walter, when Walter said,
"That's right, yeah,
you got to stick with family," and he said, "No, that what basically Gloria was my family, like she was my home. You basically took her away from me." The look on Vic's face is like, I could care less about anything moving forward. And Walter possibly seems like finally fully understood. As Paulie told him, love is the most dangerous thing in the world. If you mess with it, it could destroy everything. Yeah. And it looks like Walter may have made the mistake and destroyed everything.
Listen, I don't know where and why this didn't make the cut, but I'm pretty sure there is a scene of Vic in a bathtub with the water all the way up, with his neck only showing out of it, listening to some Mario Winans, because at this point now, his baby Gloria ain't coming back, and he is completely emotionally exhausted. He's done. It's a wrap for him. Walter, on the other hand, I think he's at peace and not really trying to show face. I really do, because I think what he's saying to Vic is what he knew was going to happen the entire time. Vic is saying exactly what he was preparing him for. What happened to Gloria? I think she'll be back. Where did she actually go? I also don't think it really matters. I think she just was. I think this is part of the dramatics here, but I don't think there's anything. But to be honest, I don't think this did anything but actually add some positive points in Walter's court, because I think this brings Vic back closer to him.
I think completely the opposite from the way Vic's reaction to him and Walter having that conversation, and Walter's reaction after that conversation was over, I think told Walter the mistake may have been, if you take her away from him, why would he care about anything? And that's going to be the problem. Vic no longer cares about the business. He doesn't care about anything anymore. If he no longer cares about the business and he cares about nothing, he can't be your replacement. Because at that point, Vic is walking around like, oh, guess what? The only thing that drove me to care about this business working was her. The point that I constantly chose you over her, because that's the key part of him saying, I constantly chose you over her. Walter said yes, because you should have chose family. Vic said no. That was a mistake. That right there is enough to tell me, why would Vic care moving forward?
Oh, it's okay. The Serbs are going to be the other party at this the other member at this party, because he will need his father. That's the thing. He can act like he doesn't need him or the family, but the Serbs are going to remind him of that.
But keep in mind, who are the Serbs are going to remind him that he needs his father, or will it remind Walter he needs his son? Because as Diamond said on the streets, as again it's brought up later on in the episode, the word on the streets is Walter killed them.
Yeah, sure, but that still means the Flynn is an umbrella. Like anybody that's attached to him.
Anybody attached to the Flynns, yes, they can pay for it. But I don't think a Serb war is going to bring them closer together. I think, in all honesty, it's probably going to push them further apart at this point. I think that's at least, and we're reading a lot from just Walter's reaction to that conversation with Vic and Vic's reaction to Gloria leaving. It kind of felt like he's saying, yeah, I no longer care about this. Like you took, again, Paulie warned him ahead of time. Yeah. Love is the one thing that can break all of this up. If that boy love, it's going to cause a problem.
I thought the other interesting thing too, when you bring up Paulie, is he also said that we don't quite got the soldiers like we used to. And not to mention, he said that before those other soldiers got shot by Tommy. So maybe he will need his son, because he's running out of troops at this point.
And he has the biggest target in his back in the world. Because while they wanted Vic dead, they amazed, all that attention has now gone to the guy who's known on the street as killing 3 Serbs with no issue, and that's Walter.
Yeah.
Whether you have a death warrant or not, you still got to have an heir apparent. And right now, he doesn't have one. And that's the problem here. But after that, next conversation, Blackston, Jenard, Malcolm, Dmacc,
Marshall,
damn it, Marshall, Dmacc, all meet to talk about doing the Gary expansion again behind Diamond's back here. What's interesting about this is that we're just getting introduced to Blackston, and in the second scene, Jenard is basically talking about doing something behind Diamond's back. Even when he asks, "Do you think Diamond will be mad about this?" He says it doesn't matter if he's mad about this. He'll come aboard anyway. But we got, all I'm wondering here is for him to speak that in front of Blackston. And I swear that just seems like the wrong name. Blackston. For him to speak that in front of him, do you think that that's more of that guy being on Jenard's side? Because he couldn't be Diamond's homeboy, and you're going to say that and not think that's going to get back.
Oh, this is interesting. Are you saying that this was some form of planting the idea in him so he can go back to Diamond?
Oh, no. I'm saying maybe it's part of he ain't come back for no reason, and Diamond brought him back because he needs to know more information about his brother. And he did it with someone his brother would trust to talk about business around.
Oh.
Again,
So
we
the
gotta play
opposite
this.
end.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
we
Okay.
gotta play this like Diamond knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, see, this is interesting because I kept wondering what made Diamond have a change of heart. Because he got intel.
And who did the intel come from? Because it didn't come from Jenard.
Yeah, Reg. That's what we're gonna call him. Reg from the shot. Yeah.
But again, that's the most interesting part of this, is because we already see he's very averse to listening to anything from Jenard at times. But amazingly, Jenard is very, what's a good word? I'd say losing his cool. It's not losing his cool. Very comfortable talking about kind of underhanded business to someone who's just getting back in the room again with him.
Yeah.
And then amazingly, other business that is discussed or mentioned gets back to Diamond, and now Diamond has no issue following suit behind things of this nature. It can't be from Jenard at this point. As we already said, he doesn't trust Jenard here. I just found that as an overall interesting scene, that Jenard would have that conversation with Reg from the Shy, as we're going to call him from now on.
or we'll just call him B, like, because this whole Blackton thing.
Blackton.
Folks, just go ahead and just say.
Oh no, you can correct us here, because that name, I'm just confused at this point.
Look,
I don't
Chemist,
know if
we got it. He's not even in this episode, and we got it.
But okay, again, that's just something I had to bring up. A point that I think we're gonna have to pay a lot of attention to moving forward, how that plays out with the CBI boys, and if this guy is a plant from Diamond, or if it's just someone Jenard feels he can overly trust and share information that he shouldn't be sharing with anybody too. But the next thing is we get the Chemist here. Again,
Lauren.
Again, right here, this is the funniest scene of the episode to me. When she tries to get Liliana to help her leave the lab and go on a date. Or it just feels like at times just leave the lab to get away from everything.
Yeah.
As Tommy has been applying extreme amount of pressure on her about breaking down this drug to make it cheaper for himself. And then Tommy later on talking to Liliana and telling Liliana, well, you're going to spy on her. Because that's the best way we're going to do this. You're going to have to spy on her to let us know what the hell is going on here. Just from the mindset of the Chemist, where do you think this puts her at? Especially at this point of the episode.
Where does this put who at?
The
Lauren?
Chemist. Yes. Where does this put her at? Her mindset here. Because clearly we see she's attempting to get away. Do you think it's getting away just to go on this date? Or do you think it's just getting away because I have to try to befriend Liliana in a way that she will help me get completely out of this situation?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm about to go way different on this one. And I know nobody's going to agree with me. I just think she just is so damn book smart that that's all she knows. And the fact that she has a date, this is like way out of her, like her normal space. So she's so excited for it by any means necessary. She wants to go to work. She's like, oh, what happens if I don't go to work? They're going to look for me. I don't think it's literally nothing, but all right. So let me kind of build a profile with this character here. I think that she is so like smart. That's all she knows. She knows her books. She knows her work. And that's her sense of level of importance. So to deviate from that makes her just a little bit antsy, a little bit uncomfortable, whatever it want to be. And then the next big adventure and excitement in her life is this date that she has. I know you're not telling a room full of folks who have weapons and potentially can kill you that you need to stop what they want you to do so you can go on a date, unless that's just what your mind tells you that where your priorities is at. So to me, I don't even think it has anything to do with Liliana. I just think she's just immature or just not reading the room and aware of what she's in. That's why at the end, that's why she was so like, I gotta go because I'll be back tomorrow, because I think she found they knew something she can actually be a part of. And I think she's like loving this right now. So she's like, yeah, of course I'll try it. But it wasn't, of course she'll try it in like how Liliana wants to try it. She's like, oh my God, I've done something that no one else can do. She said literally no one in MIT could do this. And I think now that's just, if you know anybody who is just really hell bent on accolades and personal personal satisfaction, she's checking these boxes for me. I think she's really just a book smart girl who don't have much in her life but her work and her books. The date is the most exciting thing that she's done. I mean, she even kind of confined in Liliana, like, oh, that was fun. Like, we had a good time, strangely enough, but sure. So now that she done cracked open the code here, she's like, oh my God, I'm a part of something now. I think she's going to be a very, very adequate part to the team going forward. I don't see liability. I just think this is all she knows.
Yeah, we completely read that scene differently. Because I read that as the classic. It's a lot of classic tropes they used in that scene there, of saying, oh, if I don't go to work, people will miss me. That's equivalent to any kidnap victim in any film saying there's people out there who's going to miss me if I don't show up somewhere.
Yeah, heard that before.
And then her thinking, this is another woman. I think she is naive, but I think she's naive in thinking that you could flip Liliana into helping you out and using the angle that, you know, this is the third date. I'm really feeling this person. Of thinking that would matter to Liliana. And we kind of see for a minute there, it did. The point that Liliana even brought it up to Tommy. Like, she has this date going on. If we don't do this for her, there's no telling what she can do. There's no telling where she could go with this if we take this away from her. So to me, it just felt like, okay, you're trying to guilt her into thinking one thing. And this is before the excitement kicks in of being able to break down this thing the way she did. Because yes, that was a different thing that kept her going, is that she was able to break that down. But here, as it's been shown in the last episode and this episode, I think she was just trying to get away. And she was going to come up with any excuse in the world to leave that lab and leave that situation. Not that she's looking to snitch. Not that she's looking to tell somebody, because she understands I can't snitch. The moment people find out I created this drug, I go to jail just like everyone else goes to jail.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. But her trying to get out that situation, that's what it just felt like to me earlier. That part is just her trying to get out that situation and use Liliana to do it and try to play up that you're a woman and I'm a woman and Claudia is not a woman, she's a monster. So I need to hope.
Yeah, exactly. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I need to hope that you're not the monster, because Liliana has done everything to make friends with her. Again, it's about being naive, because Liliana is only making friends with her to steal the formula.
Thank you. I was going to say. Also, I just got to be honest. Like, this episode felt a lot like NCIS. There was a lot of time in the lab with a lot of conversation about a whole bunch of different stuff. And just how they shot it just really felt like an episode of NCIS. There's just so much information going on.
This is why this is so intriguing to me, because I love NCIS and I was intrigued every time they were in the lab in this episode. Like, what is next? Where is Gibbs and Abby at?
For real. Lauren was giving me straight Abby vibes. That's like no bullshit.
Hey, all she's missing was a big gulp while she was trying to crack the drug open. But next scene, we finally get another touching moment between JP and Tommy, as JP again attempts to get involved in the drug game by any means necessary, because for some odd reason, unlike everyone else in America, he hates free money. He needs to feel like he's doing something to earn money. In return, he also brings up that their grandmother is possibly passing away, as she had a stroke, or as he said, anything, he couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was, but that she could be dying. And he brings up another hard moment for Tommy of, maybe we should tell Kate about this. And again, Tommy breaking down and letting him know Kate's horrible for you. You don't need to know Kate, all that. And JP asks him, what did she do that was so bad? And here we get the line of the episode that everyone's going to want to talk about. As Tommy said, basically why he's mad at Kate is because she chose a ghost over me.
To love a ghost over me. First of all, like, the English here is very yeah. Also, I will say, because I know everybody wants to focus on that, I will say also too, it is very interesting that JP, who has felt like everyone in the family has been lying to him, has basically called Tommy out on the bluff or said, like, look, it is your side, there's her side, and then there's the truth here.
Yep.
And I'm gonna have to confront her about this and whatnot, because I think he is due that, and I think Tommy will at some point kind of brush over to allow that to happen. That will be interesting.
I think it's gonna happen really soon, because it has to. It really has to. One, it brings up a very interesting issue that happens in a lot of families, which is you can't tell the person who's never had that other parent around how horrible that parent is, because that dream of what she could be is always going to be in his mind. Because he's never met her before. So no matter how horrible she is, and we know how horrible Kate is. We know
she's a loving mother. Yeah. She's just exactly.
She's a loving mother who will do anything for her son to give her a Coke. We understand all this about Kate.
Of course.
But the key part, and what always makes this dynamic of JP wanting to know her and wanting to meet her so interesting is, no matter what the audience knows of Kate, we always got to remind ourselves he's never met this woman a day in his life. And he's always wanted to meet this woman. So he's going to do whatever he has to do to meet her. Just also, in general. Go ahead.
Also, do we give Kate a second chance, considering that her mother's about to die and also her two boys are together? This is a little bit of a different ballpark right now for her. Does she come around?
Is it? I mean, we understand that. In all honesty, she saw Tommy as a means to an end of her getting drugs. And her real son is dead now. And the black son she had, like, she left him years ago. Like, and never second thought about him.
Yeah, and her old dude is around. I mean, she got a lot to come back to Chicago for, man. She might be in good graces, man. She might be like a really welcoming, warm person. You never know. Honestly, let me just go ahead and stop the cat. It will
She's
be.
She's gonna snort up all of Dahlia if she gets in Chicago.
Oh boy, that would be something. That would be something. That would be something. Also, I can go for a Kate and Liliana interaction right now. Bring that on. Yeah, but you needed it until I said it.
But just the interaction between the brothers here, and we see JP again yearning to meet Kate. Not only that, bringing up that their grandmother is passing away here, and him also bringing up to Tommy, like, I don't want to feel basically like you're giving me handouts. I at least want to work and find something to do for what you're attempting to do for me. Just try to get into JP's mindset here in this scene, in this episode. And what did you think about it?
I just think that JP is going to get a little impatient at a point, and he's just trying to prove his worth. And to be honest, everything changes once Dmacc or whoever puts it all together. So, and I mean, yeah, he's right. He's like, hey, we can clean money in the club. Already done that. I mean, he's just trying to stake his keep, man. And I can't be mad at him. I don't think he's overstepping. And I also think that he has pride. I mean, it's been displayed this entire season. So, I mean, again, I want to get to the point where the club is operational, and then we do got some jazz and stuff going. I want to see that side of Chicago, and I also want to see like him actually having some form of like deliverables throughout his day.
Or confidence.
Yeah.
Because right now he doesn't.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see more of JP than anything else, is what happens when this guy becomes confident in what's going on in his life instead of worrying about everything.
True.
Because he's had so much on his shoulders before Tommy got there. So you gotta kind of wonder, when that burden is lifted, what happens here? And that's what I'm looking forward to the most, to see what happens with JP.
You realize that we have what? How many episodes is this? It's to be determined.
I'm just gonna say 10 because every other season of recent of Power has had 10.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna say 10 episods.
So right, there may be 10. And we still got some big revelations to occur. I mean, JP has to meet Dmacc, and Dmacc will know that Tommy and them are related. And then if Kate comes, Kate also realizes that, oh shit, my two sons know each other. Oh, this is not good. And their mom may die. There is a lot of family affair going on here.
And she has a black grandson that's not Tariq.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh, you're right. I didn't think about that. Oh, so does that make Tariq and Dmacc related?
Oh shit. See, there you go. There you go.
And matter of fact, just think about it. Now that Marshall done kicked Dmacc to the curb, he gets Tariq again because they look exactly the same. So there you go. He get this move to Chicago and get his new Marshall. I'm fantasy booking out here tonight.
Or Dmacc moves to New York and helps Tariq take on the Tejadas.
Oh boy, we got to.
Oh man, this. But all right, let's quickly run as we coming up on our time. Run through a couple of quick things here. Next up, nothing much to talk about here. Claudia again meets with Flynn. I was gonna say Flynn, Jesus, Walter and Vic, and makes a proposition again. Like she wants to be armed up. She wants in on a family war here.
Yeah.
She keeps on bringing this up over and over again, and keeps on getting the same rebuff over and over again from Walter.
Listen, you're not getting that Benz with that 620 point credit score. You're not rolling out of here, girl. It's not happening today.
Oh man! Again, next up, Dmacc warns Tommy as he finally catches up with him, or better yet, Tommy finally catches up with Dmacc as he keeps on following him, and he does it just to warn Tommy. Basically, keep your head on a swivel. Somebody's out to get you. Keep your strap on you at all times. Quickly, what did you just think about this scene here? Because we've questioned before, who does Dmacc think Tommy is? And here for him to warn Tommy, you really got to question, who does he think Tommy is that he feels the need to warn him? Because at this point, it can't be just that you're his father's friend. He got to think you're something else for him to feel the need to warn you.
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure, but he knows that Tommy has some importance to his dad. He's not doing anything to hurt his dad. I think he's trying to figure it out, and yeah, I think it is a big and again, well. Let me be clear. I don't think he thinks Tommy is somebody. I believe he knows who Tommy is somebody, and the reason why I'm switching the verbiage here. It's because what would anybody else regularly do if they had any curiosity about somebody? They would fucking ask. And he didn't. He says, protect yourself, which means he has a conclusion of some sort
of who Tommy is.
Yeah, and who knows? And it could be a plethora of things, but I guess we got to wait to get to that point. But
And keep on the lookout, people. Do not be surprised if we find out that this whole time Dmacc has been talking to his grandfather. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Do not be surprised if we find out that, and possibly Dmacc knows all the connections already, and that's why he's warning Tommy.
I tell you what, with this being Courtney Kemp's last project, I would not be surprised if that was an element she added in here. She really tackles these deep-rooted
family issues. And one thing we know, when the dad ain't around, sometimes that connection goes to the grandfather. And it could
grandparents, period. Somebody in the grandparents level is doing some things.
Well, we know it's not his grandmother.
Right.
Clearly knows that.
But
And that's just something that automatically came to my mind, and I said, wow, wouldn't it be interesting? His grandfather knows who Dmacc is, respects the point that he did not want to tell JP who he was because he didn't want to mess up that relationship between him and his grandson, but told his grandson exactly who Tommy was. And that's why the warnings came out. I'm just saying, put two and two together. Maybe that's what's going on there. Next scene, Liliana, Claudia, they meet in one of the best scenes about drugs in the Power universe for me, when they meet with all the club couriers and give them instructions. You don't get this too many times in shows dealing with drugs with women, where they give explicit instructions. This is how we move the product. This is why you're only carrying this much of the product. If you get into trouble, Here's the number. You call this number, and you call no one else. You even her saying NDAs. Come on, son. You're not signing NDAs as it comes to drugs. No one does that. But for her to say, like, you have never been here before. What did you think about that whole setup of this scene as it pertains to women in power? Not only that, women in the drug game and the way they portrayed this scene.
Yeah, right. Because you did bring up the same idea I was thinking. I was like, this scene feels very familiar. Mm-hmm. How does it seem familiar? Because it doesn't really happen. And then it clicked to me, like, where have I seen a scene like this from? This reminds me when our good old friend, who we cannot wait to return back to television, Miss Mercedes, was running the Pink, and they called all of the dancers up and said, "This is a big night. These are your instructions. This, and that, and take orders and whatnot." And yeah, I thought it was dope. So the biggest thing I thought about this in terms of perspective for women is that they wasn't petted as if they were a liability. They were all equipped to handle the job, and they all deliver. And that's not something you see, because even in the original Power, you tell somebody like Holly to do something, and then she goes off to the side. It's like she's incapable of doing the one thing she was supposed to do, and just that. Always got to be extra. Always got to deviate from the plan. Keisha, exactly.
Same thing.
Yeah,
deviated from the plan without an issue here. This is just a very strong scene with a bunch of women here, and they're all respected. Like, we understand what you do. This is how we're going to handle business here.
Yeah,
and we see no slip ups. That's why I love that scene. The next scene of importance to talk about is Liliana and Tommy get together. Him again telling her, you need to find out how to steal this formula. We need to find out how to make this ourselves. At the same instance is where Liliana brings up to Tommy, Claudia had a conversation with someone. You need to pay attention to this conversation because Vic was mentioned in it. What did you think? Quick thoughts. Did you think this was important at the time? We understand the importance later on in the episode, but what did you just think about the end of that scene with them meet with all the couriers, that conversation that Claudia had, and here with Liliana bringing it to Tommy's attention?
So something we should bring up is that Tommy has been we've been booking Tommy correct the entire season. Not once did Tommy think about offing Lauren, which was interesting because he kept saying she can do it. I believe in her. Feminist Tommy, he's out here doing this thing. And I think that Liliana was thinking more like traditional Tommy, where it's like, she's a liability, get rid of her. He didn't even go that route. So to me, I think that while Liliana is learning, I think Tommy was also thinking like, maybe we have two cooks now. Maybe this is our team all together. We're not going to just use her and get her out of here. So I think what it was is much like I said, a whole scene of NCIS. It's fillers. People are tossing out ideas. People are responding in different fashions. I think Liliana was addressing that she potentially may know too much. May have to do something about her. Tommy's like, nah, not even bringing up the gun at all or killing her at all. She'll get it done. Then in the other end, Liliana also proves her keeps where he's saying like, pay attention to Claudia. Exactly. You haven't been paying attention to this, but now he knew. And then to end this and say to your question, I didn't think this was going to show ramifications of this episode. I thought this whole drawn out thing of her talking behind their back was going to be something that we was just going to see. But as we see a couple of scenes later,
I'm about to say almost the next exact scene is we see the couriers working the clubs. And we see one of them find Vic, text Claudia, your brother's here, and her say, go get him. And we see not only Vic trying Dahlia here, but we also see a very pivotal scene with Jenard trying Dahlia on multiple occasions. The scene of him trying Dahlia and him getting hooked upon it here. Now, again, just your quick thoughts. When you first saw this scene and you seen the setup, we understood that they were going after Vic. Did you think that Claudia also sent them to try to get Jenard, or was just a coincidence that he happened to be in this club at the same time that Vic was?
I feel I have the perfect answer to this. Jenard was coincidental. Vic was the target. How can I differentiate besides obviously the proof in the pudding with the text? Did you notice how much each of them were served?
Yes, because
Jenard got the bottom of the lip,
Mm-hmm.
That was the test sample that every single other person got. Every other random Joe Smo.
Vic got the
Vic got
entire
a
lip.
whole paint of lipstick on him.
Yep.
So tells me that the tactic was a little different here. You know, you didn't want Vic to get a sample. You really wanted to brainwash him to say like, what the hell happened? As if he's not already heartbroken, as if he's not. I'm not even going to even fake. I thought he was drinking a whole bottle of 1800, and I was like, I thought he had bread, but we'll just leave it at that for a moment. I think he might have been drinking De Leon. I don't know, but he was chugging a whole bottle of tequila of some sort.
Don't fit. He got a tequila. Let's not forget.
It could be. You're right.
There you go. You know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
you're right.
He wouldn't put that Diddy. He wouldn't put that Diddy shit in this.
We're not putting no De Leon in here. We're not even putting Duce in here. It would have been Branson. Come on now. Green light gang. Get it together. Get it together.
Facts,
Get it together.
Facts. And I need to get one of them green light gang chains. Gang.
But very next scene, we get Diamond and his new reporter lady, and I'm going to combine the scene with a later on scene with them too and get your opinion on both here. We get her, comes to the barbershop, have a quick conversation. He meets Mr. Keys, meets his obligation for power sex scenes all over again, 2 for 2. And then in the next scene with his new girl, we get her meeting with her, I'm assuming her boss. And we finally get the point of her meeting with Diamond. She thought the story was going to be about how the system in Chicago basically pins down these black men and forces them into a life that most of them aren't prepared for. But instead, her editor, her boss, says, no, the story is strictly about Diamond and his rise and fall and possibly rise again as it gets him arrested. What did you think about this full revelation that we kind of thought she may have been there as an evil purpose? But it kind of seems like the story she wanted to tell would have been a great story to tell. And now she's been given the kibosh and like, nah, you're going to run this story on basically him becoming a drug kingpin again.
First of all, Adrian is also has hit that stars clause with the 2 for 2 on getting it blown down in power. I get it. It's the job of journalists and all their levels of integrity in their work. Which is bullshit. But hey, this is really common here because if you blink twice, you would say this is Irene from Snowfall. It's the exact same tactic. You're trying to set people up
tactic
to get your Pulitzer Prize. Ho ho ho! For the sake of taking a black man down.
Hey, let's just say the only thing that makes this worse than Snowfall is at least that was an Asian reporter. Like that's the only thing that makes it better. Like this is a black reporter who they're sending out to basically.
Yeah, but her boss.
See, but it may be her boss is and her boss is Asian, but that has nothing to do with it. It's more just about she came in with kind of a good mindset on what a story would be.
I don't think Adrian gets the flack here. I think her integrity is all pure. I think she didn't quite reveal it to him, but she was trying to do something more
great at first.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, if once she goes along with what her boss wants, all that integrity goes out the window.
Yeah, to be determined. Absolutely to be determined. And I tell you, if they go that route, I hate it. But we'll see that she. I mean, she's already been sexed up twice. I don't think she's gonna. she might be down for him. So like, it's gonna be interesting to see what her conversation is. Is she transparent about what's up? I mean, he hasn't even truly fully questioned, but you know, he's paranoid. He's not going back to jail, so none of that's gonna matter. So will be interesting if her story tends to shift over to Jenard of some sort, and I don't know.
But hey,
yeah.
Next important thing, again, we already talked about it. Jenard wants in on Dahlia after a night of wild sex with a woman who blew his mind. And then how Diamond first rejects it, and then magically comes back on board, possibly after his other boy told him about the drug. What did you think, quickly, Jenard's reaction to taking this drug?
Exactly what you think. Exactly what you
from
thought
a drug addict, technically.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about him and drugs don't go well together.
Yeah. Or Liliana. Same thing. Same result. You know what's so funny? My man whole intentions this episode was to kill Tommy.
All of it went out the window.
How it started and how it ended.
Hey, he got some ass instead. All that it's amazing what that will do. It takes away all your aggression. You'll be like, damn, this nigga gotta die. You get something, you be like, man, he can live a couple more days.
Jesus.
Again, next thing, Liliana warns Tommy about the chemist. As you said before, Tommy does what Tommy does. He capes. Tommy does not like killing women. It literally has to be a last resort for him to kill any woman besides Liliana in season 1. When he wanted her dead from the beginning. Besides her, that's just out of Tommy's norm to ever want to do anything of that nature. Next up, Jenard, Diamond, they meet, talk about the drug, talk about taking over Chicago. The only interesting part here, for me, is you kind of see the overall greed of Jenard when Diamond says, we have enough. And Jenard says, it's never enough.
At least it ain't the coke talking this time.
Exactly. Here we always get, I know it's kind of getting repetitive to constantly talk about this issue, but again, just brings another wrinkle to their issue here. You get Jenard, who sees this almost exactly, and we brought it up before. He kind of sees it the way Tommy saw it in New York. Basically, like, no, we need to take over everything. Yeah. And Diamond has that ghost approach, like, we have enough. More just means more attention, more problems, more money, more problems, things we don't need to bring over here.
Yeah.
The next important scene to bring up that we have not brought up yet, and that is Tommy and Diamond having a conversation that leads to first Diamond saying, the word on the streets, Walter is the one who killed the Serbs. The next question is Diamond bringing up to Tommy about this new drug. Him thinking he possibly wants in on this new drug, asking Tommy, does he know anything about it? And Tommy lying straight to his face, like, I know a little bit, but not much at all.
Yeah.
We understand that Tommy's playing it close to his vest because he believes he has a great drug here. Were you surprised that he didn't tell Diamond that he was the person who was actually pushing this drug?
Nope. It absolutely goes against everything they've been working against of them saying, I thought it was us. I mean, how would he look if we went back and told Diamond, but Tommy said to not tell Vic, and what he thought Claudia was trying to do? It'd be contradictory. So no surprise here. I only would have been surprised if he did it, and I would have absolutely said that was not a Tommy decision. That was a bad writing decision. So this is very consistent in what this character should have did. So I'm not surprised at all. But the biggest thing, as we said, is all of a sudden Diamond seems to be on board. And where did that whole change of philosophy come from? And I think we got our answer.
Next up scene that's important. Next to last scene that's important here. We finally meet the guys from Gary, Indiana, Cuz. And Cuz is played by one of my favorite rappers of the moment, Mr. Freddie
motherfucking man,
Gibbs.
Freddie Gibbs,
the
baby.
Rabbit here.
Cousin Buddy out here. he didn't get honorably discharged. He fell and hit his head during basic training. That is a sick story.
That's a sick ass story that he
a Gary, Indiana legend out here.
The point that they pulled someone who was actually from Gary, Indiana, not one of the Jacksons. Mr. Freddie Gibbs is actually from Gary, Indiana, to play this role made it even better. What do you think with such a big name being introduced in this part? Do you think we're going to get a hell of a lot more of Cousin Buddy?
I tell you what we are going to get. He is mildly composed, but man, if you don't see the ticking time bomb in this character. So I think this is brilliant because I think for whatever many episodes left, whether it's 2 or 4, and folks, I'm not even going to explain to you why we don't know how many it is, but nonetheless, it could be 2 or 4. We're going to say 4 because that's what traditionally it is.
2 or 3. 2 or 3.
2 or 3. Yes, thank you. But I think he's going to shake up the entire show in these episodes because not only does this give them situation, give them could potentially get them territory down there in a relationship or partnership or whatnot. But like, this is something very valuable, and he is the man that controls it. And I just think with him having so much power and so much leverage in all of this, I think we're just going to get such a wild card, unpredictable character that's just going to really change things up. Great casting for a lot of reasons. And I also think, whether you know anything about his acting or not, I think you say like, well, I know him as a rapper, and that's a big time signing or casting. I think all eyes are going to be set on him every scene that he's in, and I think that just only brings more attention, more unpredictability, and everything to the show. So man, when I saw him, I said, holy shit, fucking Freddie Gibbs, bro.
And they didn't do it the way they did Kendrick's when he was in power, meaning they didn't hype it up. Like, this was just caught you out of left field that it was him, so it kind of gives hope. I mean, you get Joey Badass in one, and then you get Freddie Gibbs in another. But the biggest and most important question here, before we get into my last thing of this episode, and something I really need to get your input on here, sir, because it's highly important. How the hell did they set up this expansion before Louis and Jerome set up their expansion in Little Rock? I just gotta ask questions here.
Hey, listen, Jenard is moving down southeast. He's doing his thing. And he ain't listening. He ain't waiting for Franklin to give him orders now. So that's what's happening here. But I will say something I saw a little bit interesting here. What is Jenard and them? What's their crew name? This is not CBI, is what he said.
He clearly said that. Yes.
Yeah. And I looked it up, and apparently what they're calling themselves, because when you talk about Blackton, with him being introduced, it is said under his tagline that he's a new member of the Dead Boys crew. So is this what they're going by? And is that,
and is this the eventual branch off and end of CBI?
Well, I mean, CBI still got soldiers apparently, and Dmacc is kind of a free agent nowadays, so who knows? It is going to be interesting. And I think the other thing I think we should just quickly just address, and folks, you can jump in the comments, let us know. We won't waste our breath on it. Where do you think Gloria went this episode, and why? I know she left a note, but what was the real reason why? I cannot believe Vic woke up and started talking and did not realize she was gone. Like, he definitely in this studio apartment that they're in, and he just kind of
completely lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
that threw me off a little bit. I'm like, so you got out of bed and she wasn't there, and where did you think she was sleeping at? Who are you making breakfast plans with, sir? It makes no sense there. But again, that is something for the audience. Just let us know. Also, let us know, do you believe that final threat by Walter was enough for Gloria to move on? Or do you believe it was her talking to Claudia that caused her to move on?
Yeah,
I mean, it brings up a lot of interesting points of what do you believe the reason is that she moved on here? And will we see her back this season, or maybe some this season too? Just let us know what your thoughts overall about Gloria. If this is the last time, if episode 6 was the last time we would see her, what you thought?
And the other question is, I mean, the Serbs are still out here, so where does she go? And does she know she potentially may have a target on her? Because you could be an easy target at this point, by yourself, no protection. And who the fuck is running your bar if you're gone? Who's there? Who's at the bar? That's not a real question. But the real question is, do you all think that this new cut version of Dahlia, do you think it's going to be problematic or just a straight hit? And how does it shake up the entire?
We didn't even get to the point that was the last thing of the episode to talk about. Is the Chemist comes up with a new form of Dahlia.
All right.
And you just, no, nigga, you took away my whole question.
Oh, I thought we were wrapping up. My bad, bro.
Yeah, I said one more question. That was my question.
My bad.
The Chemist comes up with a new form of Dahlia. What do you think the impact of this will be?
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I think that for all the metrics and everything that Tommy was talking about, you know, creating one to get all the street level people hooked and the top level for them, and for maybe all of even the, you know, the higher contacts that they go back to the Dropbox situation with. You know, do they keep the basic level in the club? Do the other really high profile, high contact folks go through the Dropbox? You know, I think that the good is the good, but I fear that this new cut version, although she got it and she tried it, that was the big thing, because it looked like she wasn't going to try it. I was a little worried
of what it was if she wasn't going to try it.
Yeah. But we seen too many fails for all of a sudden for me to say like solution. I mean, I would not be surprised if this turns into I Am Legend, and everybody that hits it, this turns into zombies, and this shit's as fuck.
Well, then guess what? Because now you finally get why I wanted to bring this up last and my comparison to it. The whole time Tommy was talking about Dahlia, you know what he was talking about it like? Cocaine. And when he said he needed to find a cheaper form of Dahlia, you know what that is? That's crack.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's a great way for him saying a cheaper form versus saying we need to find a crack form of Dahlia. Something cheap that can be produced that can get people hooked on it. Yep. Here you go.
There you go.
Diet Coke, as Pusha T would call it. Any final thoughts, sir, on episode 7, Outrunning?
Nah, man, I'm ready to get to episode 8, man. That's all I gotta say. I'm just waiting to hear folks in the comments saying what we didn't get right and blah, 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 blah.
Hey, y'all better not say Blackston, because I don't give a fuck. I understand we got his name wrong. We get multiple people's names wrong here. If we watch it a second time before doing his review, maybe we get it right. We're not even gonna take time to do that. But again, we appreciate y'all for checking us out. Again, you can catch us every Saturday night after the episode airs. And then check out Big Old Bell for every other form of content we got coming y'all way. We got a lot of stuff loading up. Some special people possibly dropping by to talk some Force with us later on in this season. And maybe some other shows that we got going on. You can check it out, subscribe, tune in. We're gonna keep you hooked for a while at least. We giving y'all that podcast or YouTube Dahlia out here now.
Hey, listen, I'll drop a quick gem for you all. I'm just saying that there may be a set of folks coming, and that set of folks may have a scene or two together that was a little bit of a, I was just saying, it's a little explosive, a little destructive, a little, I don't know. Maybe they not so cool anymore now. I don't know, but you just have to guess. But there will be a set coming through. So as Lou said, you just want to make sure you're here for the ride for it, because we got some things popping for you all. So, but yeah, y'all do it tonight. Jump in the comments, let us know all your thoughts about tonight's episode, and we'll see you back next week. Thank you for tuning in, folks. Big old bell.